Now, it sounds like GameStop is not only stopping games, they're also stopping comics. How's that for an opener for you? GameStop was going to be selling comic books in their stores. They decided to try it out. They were going to do some tests, and it turns out it was just a bad idea. They canceled the whole thing, and it's over. Now, if this surprises you, it might surprise you on a few different levels. One being, did you even know that they were selling comics at GameStops, at Select One? Did you even know that was going on? And the other reason is it actually sounds like a great idea to sell comics at GameStop. It sounds like a great idea because, there might be some overlap in the market, but it was flawed. And it highlights the flaws in the comic book industry inherent right now as it exists. There is a problem. If you can't get other people, other kinds of retailers to take you on because of all this terrible dead weight, something is wrong. Before we dive into this, Downcast Rise and Fall is still on Indiegogo. We're in the in-demand phase, and we're almost at 32,000. So if you haven't backed it yet, check it out in the link in the description below. All right, I heard about this article from Rooster Puncher. This is Spencer Desmond. And credit where credit is due. That takes us over to this article. Look at that headline. GameStop no longer plans to sell comics in stores. All right, so there are a few things that really went wrong with this, and primarily it's marketing. Now, remember, marketing is not just letting people know about your product, though that is part of it. It's the price, product, and promotion, and people, I think. 4 Ps, is that it? 4 Ps of marketing. So yes, promotion is a big deal. I think there was that was tragic that people didn't know about it. If you didn't know that this was going on, for one, then that's just more proof. But also, it came down to the product and the price. Now think about this. Listen to the quote. This is directly from GameStop, from a spokesperson there. They said, quote, "Our team of merchandising experts are constantly exploring what new products we should offer in our stores based on customer demand," a GameStop spokesperson said. "While we initially conducted a small comic book test in our Think Geek stores, at the time we are not planning on offering comic books inside our stores. The number of SKUs," and so a SKU is a particular book, like one given book. So multiple SKUs, that means you've got multiple titles. And then also every month you've got new SKUs, even if you're talking about the same title. So one SKU for one individual comic book. So they said that the number of SKUs we would have to carry to ensure we offered a wide selection of comic books versus the lack of customer demand at this time simply does not make offering comic books in our stores a good proposition. If you have to buy a product, if a product is, in order for that thing to work, you have to buy such a huge number of it in order to sell it in your store, and you don't have people that are willing to buy that big number of it, or even a small number of it for that matter, there's a problem. If this doesn't work for GameStop, this also does not work for comic book shops. I realize that comic book shops have room and they're more dedicated to comics, but that just goes to show you that brick and mortar stores are really struggling, and Diamond is not helping the matter. I know that Diamond is often the scapegoat in a lot of the discussion around the comic book industry right now, but this underlines the problem. Now, I know when I was critical of Marvel in particular and their variant covers, they do so many variant covers that they flood the shelves. I had people in my comment section that I don't normally see, but they were telling me that I was full of it, that it was a stupid argument to say that they're flooding the shelves. They are flooding the shelves. It's too much for a big national chain, and I know GameStop is having their own problems, their own set of problems, but it was too much for GameStop to take on. It was too much risk and too little reward to sell comics inside of their stores. It's not going to be different. Again, comic book shops, they don't even have, generally speaking, they're not selling video games, or many aren't. I don't want to speak for all comic shops. I'm sure many are doing whatever, but many don't. If it didn't work for GameStop, if it was a bad business decision for them, you just got to imagine how tough this is. And it all comes down to the number of books they have to purchase versus the demand for those books. Marvel needs to slim down their line. DC needs to slim down their line. Many indie publishers, and I think honestly, the other smaller publishers have already slimmed down their lines. And I know Dynamite in particular slimmed down their line, and they said that they saw an increase in sales because of that. There are too many choices for comics. I get it. Like if you're into comics and you like the variety, that's one thing. I mean, you can put things on your pull list. But when Marvel and DC, when the must-have publishers are flooding the shelves, they're giving you too many options. That is a problem. This isn't about enjoying different options and wanting different options so you have the selection. This is a matter of survival. They have to slim down the line. Imagine this. Let's say you want to start a comic book shop. You're still going to have to contend with the same issues that here we're dealing with GameStop. It's no different. The same issues. You're going to have to buy so many different comics in order to have the variety of choice that it becomes not worth doing. It's too expensive of an investment, even for GameStop, and so they pulled out. All right, next thing here. Big publishers have a responsibility to promote these kinds of things. If they're going to be selling comics elsewhere, they need to promote it. They need to do some kind of actual marketing. They need to dedicate some money into getting the word out, besides allowing brick and mortar stores or just leaving it on their shoulders. They've got GameStop, a possible new retailer, and their plan is just to make them have to buy so many books that they're shouldering this entire burden to keep the big comic book companies in business. All right, so getting back to the article, it says these comics in the test stores were to be sold on spinner racks, which would be stocked with comics on a weekly basis, according to details shared previously by GameStop. That's right, they were going to spinner racks. Spinner racks can only hold so many comics. When you're publishing so many wretched books that you're overcrowding a spinner, it just doesn't make sense. Something I also think of is maybe you could do a line, if you must publish so many books, maybe you could do a line that's specific to GameStop, and you only had 4, 5, or 6 titles max that you were giving directly to GameStop. That might be a good idea. You're publishing enough books. You could probably do that. If you have to have a certain number, like let's say 52, like there's something magical about that number and you want to have 52 different titles, you could still slim down your line further by doing miniseries that end. You do whatever, Hawkeye or something, have him go for 6 issues and then have him take a break. And then the other half of the year, you can do Black Widow and do 6 issues and then take a break, and then you're back to Hawkeye again. And you could stagger your titles, so you still have titles coming out, mainly for your smaller titles. Obviously, the ones that sell Batman, Spider-Man, whatever, the big sellers, they're going to have to be monthly or twice a month because people want those. And honestly, that's keeping food on the table. Point is, things are changing. You're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive in addressing this and think outside of the box. Try something different. Now, I'm not convinced that GameStop is not going to continue to be in trouble and close down stores. They're also suffering this. It's just a problem with brick and mortar shops everywhere, retail everywhere. It won't surprise me at all if it's going to start hitting grocery stores soon. Things are changing. But at the least, I think there could be some effort besides just, hey, we'll sell you books. That's such short-term thinking from Diamond and Marvel and DC. Hey, we'll just sell you books. That should take care of things. You have a vested interest in making sure your retailers stay afloat. Do something to help them out. And that big something would be to slim down the line. The luxury of having options is just that. It's a luxury. This is survival mode. You need to slim down the line. All right, I guess enough lecturing. Let me know what you think in the comments below about all this. Did you even know that GameStop was doing this? I've got to wonder, if we checked the comment section. Oh, this is one of those sites that's just going to keep on going. I got to wonder, most people probably don't know about this. Let me know what you think. If you knew that this was going down, what are some suggestions that you would have for comics going forward in brick and mortar? And how could you also suggest to use the internet more effectively in comics? Don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you enjoyed this content, so you can get more. Thanks very much, and I will see you next time.